So this is what you start with when you make the raised beds. These are 4x8 and their construction is just 1x2s, and then I mitered the corners and then just connected them with those screws until you have a frame of this size. And then what you do is you put on the roof flashing in the four corners. So the second part that you do is you put the roof flashing into the corners, and then you'll screw that in to the four corners, and these are 2 feet long, and you put them inside the frame, and they're bought originally from a 10-foot long piece. Here's some more pieces sitting over here, the length of them, and you cut those up to 2 feet, put them in the corners on the inside, and then you'll flip this whole piece over and then put it down to mount it to the other side. And then once you get it all together, you have the roof flashing all the way on the inside, and as you can see, it just simply overlaps in the corners here, so that way your dirt doesn't get out. And then they overlap just a little bit in the center, and you can just add one screw on the bottom and the top, and same goes for the corners as well. You can just put them right over the top of the first flashing, so it adheres to both of them. And then this way that none of the soil ever touches the wood. So this is the basic frame, and then afterwards you'll put 2x4s all the way around the top of it, so you'll have a good place to sit as you're being able to do your gardening. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then for the final 2x4s on top, you want to cut them 8 foot 2 inches for the outside, and then 4 foot 2 inches for the ends. And what that does is it allows the boards to sit over top of the frame by just a little bit here, so that way you can have a good place to sit down. So what I'll do now is I'll drill the pilot holes for the 2x4s around the top, and then I'll affix it to the frame, the wooden frame that's underneath of the 1x2s, and then we'll have one completed bed. And then we'll put in the bottom, we'll fill it about halfway full with wood, put in some mycelium, some various different mushrooms and things, and some straw, and then we'll fill the rest of it up with topsoil and compost. So what we got is we filled up the beds about halfway with wood chips, and underneath there are solid logs. You can see one there, right here, sticking up, and there's another one sticking up over there. And I put logs down at the bottom, then filled it up that high with wood chips, and it's about halfway up, and then we'll fill the rest of it up with soil today.